The rain is hammering the metal roof of Millbrook Station like machine gun fire, and I'm standing here watching the last bus out of this godforsaken town idle in the storm while my world crumbles around me. 4 hours. 4 goddamn hours I've been clutching this soggy ticket, my designer suit, the only nice thing I own, completely soaked through, my carefully styled hair now hanging in wet strings around my face like a broken halo. 4 hours of checking my phone every 30 seconds. 4 hours of making excuses for them in my head. 4 hours of slowly realising that my own parents, the people who gave me life, have left me here to rot. The bus driver keeps glancing at me through his rearview mirror, and I can see the pity in his eyes. He's seen this before. The stranded passenger, the broken promises, the moment when someone realises they're truly alone in this world. His engine is rumbling like a beast, ready to devour the miles between here and somewhere else, anywhere else. Lightning splits the sky outside, illuminating the empty parking lot where no car is coming to save me, where no car has been coming for 4 hours, where no car will ever come, because I finally understand the truth that's been staring me in the face my entire life. I am nothing to them, less than nothing. I'm a convenient ATM who occasionally needs maintenance. But here's what they don't know. What nobody knows as I stand here in this flickering, fluorescent hell that smells like diesel fuel and desperation. This moment isn't my ending. It's my beginning. And by the time I'm done, they're going to wish they'd never left their daughter behind in a storm. Let me paint you the picture of who I was before tonight. My name is Melissa Rodriguez, and I've been playing the role of family saviour for so long, I almost forgot there was a person underneath the performance. You know the type, the daughter who never rocks the boat, who sends money home religiously, who drops everything when family calls. The one who works herself into the ground to keep everyone else comfortable while she slowly disappears. For the past 3 years, I've been sending $800 a month to my parents. $800 that came from eating ramen noodles for dinner 5 nights a week. $800 that meant wearing the same 3 professional outfits to work on rotation until the seams started giving out. $800 that kept their McMansion from being foreclosed, while I lived in a studio apartment where the heat barely worked and the upstairs neighbour practiced tap dancing at 2 a.m. $800 a month, plus emergency money when Dad's car broke down, plus Christmas presents I couldn't afford, plus helping with Mum's medical bills when she needed that surgery, plus, always giving, never receiving, slowly bleeding myself dry while they got fatter and more comfortable on my sacrifice. And what did I get in return? Silence when I called. Forgotten birthdays, including last month when I turned 28 and they didn't even send a text. Guilt trips when the money was late, and questions, always questions, about when I was going to get my life together and find a real career. As if the 60-hour weeks I've been pulling at Morrison & Associates, the marketing firm where I've been grinding for 3 years, wasn't real enough. As if the fact that I've single-handedly managed their biggest clients while my boss took credit wasn't real enough. As if keeping their house from being seized by the bank wasn't real enough. But today, God, was it really just this morning? Everything was supposed to change. I had an interview today. Not just any interview, the interview. The one I've been preparing for, hoping for, dreaming about for months. A senior marketing director position at Hartwell & Co. in Chicago. The kind of opportunity that doesn't just knock twice. It barely knocks once. I took the morning off, used my last sick day, and caught the 7 a.m. bus into the city wearing my only good suit. A charcoal grey number I'd bought on clearance 2 years ago and had tailored to fit. I'd practiced my answers in the mirror for weeks. I'd researched every person I'd be meeting with. I'd prepared a portfolio that showcased campaigns I'd developed but never gotten credit for. And it went perfectly. Better than perfectly. It went like a fairy tale. They loved my ideas. They laughed at my jokes. They asked detailed questions about my strategies and nodded approvingly at my answers. The senior partner, Margaret Hartwell herself, looked me in the eye and said, "Melissa, I think you're exactly what we've been looking for." By 2 p.m, I was walking out of their gleaming offices with a signed offer letter in my hand, double my current salary, full benefits, a signing bonus that would let me finally stop counting every penny. For the first time in my adult life, I was going to be able to breathe. I was so excited I could barely contain myself as I found a quiet corner of a coffee shop and called home. "Mom!" I practically shouted when she picked up. "I got it! I got the job in Chicago. You'll never believe the salary. I can finally stop struggling, and I'll be able to help you and Dad even more now." There was a pause. A long, terrible pause that should have told me everything I needed to know. "That's nice, sweetheart," she said, her voice flat and distracted. I could hear the TV in the background, some daytime talk show she'd rather pay attention to than her daughter's biggest achievement. "Are you coming home for dinner? I'm making that casserole you like." No congratulations, no excitement, no pride in her voice, no acknowledgement that this was the biggest moment of my professional life, just indifference, like I'd told her I'd bought new socks. I should have hung up then. I should have realised that this conversation was a preview of my entire future with them, but I didn't. I pushed down the disappointment, swallowed the hurt, and kept playing my role. "Actually, that's why I'm calling," I said, forcing enthusiasm back into my voice. "The storm's getting really bad up here, and you know how my car handles in weather like this. Could you maybe pick me up at Millbrook Station? I can catch the 4:30 bus there, should arrive around 5:15. "Of course, honey," Mum said, and for just a moment, I felt that familiar flutter of hope. Maybe this time would be different. Maybe this achievement would finally make them see me as more than a bank account with legs. We'll be there. "Thanks, Mum. I love you." "Love you too, sweetheart. See you soon." So I caught the bus to Millbrook, my heart full of plans and possibilities. I was going to take this job and move to Chicago, but I'd still help them, maybe even more now that I could afford it. I'd finally be the daughter they could be proud of. I even started planning how I'd use my signing bonus to surprise them. Maybe finally get them caught up on all those credit card bills they'd been struggling with. The bus dropped me off at Millbrook Station at 5:17 p.m. By 5:45, I was checking my phone. By 6:15, I was walking to the window looking for their car. By 6:45, I was calling them. Straight to voicemail. I tried Dad's phone. Voicemail. I tried the house phone. No answer. By 7:30, I was spiralling into familiar patterns of making excuses for them. Traffic was probably terrible because of the storm. Maybe they'd lost track of time. Maybe Dad was having trouble with the car again. It had been making that weird noise. But by 8 o'clock, by 8:30, by 9 o'clock, the excuses started wearing thin. Other buses had come and gone. Other passengers had been picked up by family members who actually gave a damn. The station had emptied out until it was just me and the janitor mopping the floors with the resigned efficiency of someone who'd seen this story before. And slowly, painfully, the truth started seeping in like water through a cracked foundation. They forgot. They actually forgot their daughter was stranded in a bus station during the worst storm of the year. Or worse, they remembered and just didn't care enough to come. I've been useful to them when they needed money, invisible when they didn't. And tonight, they didn't need money. They needed to be decent human beings, and apparently that was asking too much. The station's fluorescent lights flicker overhead, casting everything in harsh, unforgiving light that makes my reflection in the window look like a ghost. There's a vending machine in the corner that's been broken for probably a decade, its coin slot taped over with duct tape and a handwritten sign that says "out of order." There's a bench that's seen better decades, its green vinyl cracking and yellow foam poking through like infected wounds. The whole place feels like a metaphor for my relationship with my family, functional enough to serve a purpose, but forgotten, neglected, slowly falling apart. But you know what? As I stand here in this place that smells like industrial disinfectant and broken dreams, something inside me is shifting. It started as a crack, like ice beginning to break on a lake in spring, but now it's spreading, and I can feel pieces of who I used to be falling away. I pull out my phone one more time, even though I know it's at 3% battery. The screen shows 17 missed calls from work. Apparently, my boss realised I wasn't coming back today and decided that was a problem. There are 43 text messages from various people, but not one from my parents. Not one check to see if their daughter made it home safely in the storm. The bus door hisses open like a serpent, inviting me into temptation. "Last call, miss," the driver says, and his voice is kinder than anything I've heard all day. "Storm's getting worse. We need to go now, or we'll be stuck here until Thursday at least. You getting on or not?" I look at him, this stranger who's showing me more consideration than my own family, and I feel the last piece of the old Melissa crack and fall away. I'm not their abandoned daughter anymore. I'm not their forgotten child standing in the rain like some tragic figure in a country song. I'm a woman with a job offer in Chicago that will change everything. I'm a woman with skills and intelligence and worth that have nothing to do with how much money I can send home. I'm a woman who's been pouring herself into empty vessels for years, giving and giving until there was nothing left. But empty vessels can be filled with new things, better things, stronger things. The bus ticket in my hand is damp from the rain, but the destination is still clear. Chicago, not home, not to the people who left me here like an unwanted piece of luggage. Chicago, where a new life is waiting, where people will value me for what I bring to the table, not what I can transfer to their bank account. I climb the steps, my heels clicking against the metal like a countdown to my rebirth, and find a seat near the back. Through the rain-streaked window, I watch Millbrook disappear into the storm, taking with it every excuse I ever made for them, every time I convinced myself they loved me, every moment I chose their comfort over my own dignity. Somewhere behind us, in a house I've been paying to save, my parents are probably just now realising they forgot something. Maybe Mum is looking at the clock and thinking, wasn't I supposed to pick up Melissa? Maybe Dad is wondering why there are so many missed calls on his phone. Or maybe they're not thinking about me at all. Maybe they're watching TV, comfortable in their climate-controlled living room, completely oblivious to the fact that their daughter is currently having the most important realisation of her life on a bus heading away from them. Because here's what they don't know, what's about to make this night absolutely legendary. I didn't just have one interview today, I had two. And the second interview is going to change everything they think they know about their helpless little girl. The bus rocks gently as we pull onto the highway, and I close my eyes, letting the rhythm soothe the part of me that's been raw and bleeding for years. Let them think I'm stranded. Let them think I'm helpless. Let them think their dutiful daughter is crying in some bus station bathroom, grateful for whatever scraps of attention they might eventually throw her way. Because what they don't understand is that I've been preparing for this moment longer than they know. What they can't see is that I'm not running away from something. I'm running toward something magnificent, something that's going to make them regret every forgotten birthday, every ignored achievement, every time they treated me like I was lucky to be their daughter instead of the other way around. The storm outside is violent and wild, tearing through the landscape like an angry god, but it's nothing compared to what's building inside me. For 28 years, I've been their safety net, their reliable source of emergency funds, their good daughter who never asked for anything in return. But safety nets can be cut, and when they are, everything falls. I open my eyes and look at my reflection in the dark window. The woman looking back at me isn't the same one who got on this bus. She's sharper somehow, cleaner, like she's been refined by fire. Tomorrow morning, my parents are going to wake up and start to understand exactly what they lost when they decided I wasn't worth a 20-minute drive in the rain. And by then, it'll be far too late to fix it. The bus pushes through the night, carrying me toward my new life and away from the one that never deserved me. In my purse, I have a signed job offer that will let me finally live instead of just survive. I have a new phone number they don't know about. I have a bank account they can't touch. But most importantly, I have something I've never had before. The absolute, crystalline certainty that I am done being anyone's victim. They wanted to leave me behind in a storm? Fine. But they have no idea what kind of storm they just unleashed. This is just the beginning. The bus has been rolling through the storm for 20 minutes when I finally pull out my second phone. Yes, you heard that right. My second phone, the one they don't know exists. The one that's been my lifeline to a completely different world for the past 8 months. I watch the screen light up with notifications I've been ignoring all day, and my heart does this little skip when I see Marcus's name at the top of the list. 17 missed calls, 43 text messages. The most recent one sent just 10 minutes ago. Mel, where are you? The closing is scheduled for tomorrow morning. Are you having second thoughts? Second thoughts? About finally taking control of my life? About finally making them pay for 28 years of treating me like garbage? Not a chance in hell. I type back quickly, my fingers flying over the screen. Storm delayed everything. I'm on my way. Is everything ready on your end? His response comes immediately. Everything's perfect. The paperwork is signed, the accounts are set up, and our new place is waiting. I can't believe we're actually doing this. Neither can I, if I'm being honest. 8 months ago, if someone had told me I'd be sitting on a bus in the middle of a storm, planning the most elaborate revenge scheme of my life with a man I met in a coffee shop, I'd have laughed in their face. But that was before I understood who my parents really were. That was before I realised that being a good daughter to bad parents was just another form of self-destruction. Let me tell you about Marcus. Marcus Chen, 29 years old, financial advisor with a specialty in real estate investment, and a smile that could melt glaciers. I met him 8 months ago at Grind Coffee on 5th Street, the place I used to go every morning before work because their Wi-Fi was better than what I could afford at home. I was there early, as usual, laptop open, trying to finish a presentation my boss would later present to clients as his own work. I was so focused I didn't notice someone had sat down at the table next to me until he spoke. Excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt, but are you working on the Henderson campaign? I looked up startled into the most beautiful brown eyes I'd ever seen. I'm sorry, what? He gestured toward my laptop screen. Henderson Real Estate. I saw the logo. I'm actually their financial advisor. That campaign you're working on, it's brilliant. The whole Your Dreams, Our Foundation angle, genius. I should have closed my laptop. I should have made some polite small talk and moved to another table. Instead, I found myself talking to this stranger about marketing strategies and demographic targeting like we'd known each other for years. You know, he said after we'd been talking for an hour, if you ever get tired of working for other people, you should consider freelancing. With ideas like these, you could make triple what you're making now. I laughed, but it came out bitter. Freelancing requires startup capital, and I can't exactly quit my job when I'm supporting. I stopped myself. I'd almost said too much. Supporting who? He asked gently, and somehow, sitting in that coffee shop with this beautiful stranger who actually listened when I talked, it all came pouring out. The monthly payments to my parents, the forgotten birthdays, the way they treated me like an ATM with legs, the sacrifices I'd made, the dreams I'd put on hold, the way I'd slowly disappeared into the role of family saviour. Marcus listened without judgment, without trying to fix me or tell me I was being dramatic. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. How much do you send them? He asked finally. $800 a month plus emergencies. He pulled out his phone and started typing. 800 times 12 times. How long have you been doing this? 3 years. So you've given them almost $30,000 plus emergencies. He looked up at me. Do you know what $30,000 could have bought you? I shook my head. Freedom, he said simply. It could have bought you freedom. That conversation changed everything. Not immediately. I'm not that naive. But Marcus started showing up at the coffee shop at the same time as me. We'd talk about everything and nothing. He'd tell me about his work, about properties he was evaluating, about investment strategies that could turn small amounts of money into large amounts of money. And slowly, carefully, he started planting seeds. You know, your parents' house. What's it worth? I don't know, maybe $300,000. They bought it for $250 5 years ago, but the market's been good. And how much do they still owe on it? I knew that number by heart. It haunted my dreams. 180,000. So, there's equity there. Significant equity. He paused, choosing his words carefully. Melissa, has it ever occurred to you that you're not just helping them pay their mortgage, you're building their wealth while sacrificing your own? It hadn't occurred to me. Not until that moment. What if I told you there was a way to make sure your money was actually working for you instead of against you? That's when Marcus told me about shell companies, about how it was possible to buy debt from banks, especially when that debt was in danger of default, about how someone with the right connections and the right paperwork could essentially purchase a mortgage and become the new lender. I'm not saying you should do this, he said carefully. I'm just saying it's possible, hypothetically, but I could see it in his eyes. He wasn't talking hypothetically at all. Over the next few months, our coffee dates became planning sessions. Marcus walked me through the process step by step, always emphasizing that this was just theoretical, just an intellectual exercise. But we both knew better. He helped me set up a business account under the name MR Holdings. Cute, right? Melissa Rodriguez. But also Marcus and me. He introduced me to his contacts at the bank, people who could make certain paperwork disappear and certain processes move faster than they should. And I started documenting everything. Every text message where my parents asked for money, every forgotten birthday, every time they hung up on me when I tried to share good news, every small cruelty, every casual dismissal, every moment that proved I was nothing more than a cash cow to them. You're building a case, Marcus told me one day as I showed him my growing file of evidence. Not a legal case, an emotional one, for when you need to remind yourself why you're doing this. The hardest part was continuing to send them money while I was secretly buying their debt, piece by piece. Every month I'd transfer $800 to their account, and every month Marcus would help me purchase a little more of their mortgage from the bank. We were careful, strategic, never too much at once, never in a way that would trigger their attention. By month 6, I owned 40% of their house. By month 7, it was 60%. Last month, Marcus called me with news that made my hand shake. The bank is ready to sell the remaining 40%. They're tired of dealing with your parents' late payments and want the debt off their books. If you're serious about this, now is the time. I was serious. God help me, I was deadly serious. The final purchase was completed 3 days ago. 3 days ago, I became the sole owner of my parents' mortgage. 3 days ago, I gained the power to foreclose on the house I'd been paying to save for 3 years. But that's not even the best part. The best part is that I've been planning to disappear for months. The Chicago job interview wasn't my first, it was my third. I've been strategically applying to positions in different cities, building options, creating escape routes. The job with Hartwell & Co. was just the best offer, the one that made the most sense financially. Marcus has been planning too. He put in for a transfer to his company's Chicago office 6 months ago. We've been apartment hunting online, looking at places it's neither of us could afford alone, but together, we can live like the successful professionals we are, instead of like the struggling martyrs we've been. I found the perfect place, he texted me 2 weeks ago, along with photos of a gorgeous 2-bedroom loft in Lincoln Park. It's ours if we want it. We wanted it. God, did we want it? The paperwork was signed yesterday. While I was getting ready for my interview, Marcus was finalising our lease, setting up utilities, arranging for furniture delivery. We've been planning this escape down to the smallest detail, but the timing of tonight was pure poetry. I couldn't have written it better if I'd tried. My phone buzzes with another message from Marcus. Just saw the weather reports. That storm is going to hit hard. Are your parents going to be okay in that house? I laugh out loud, actually laugh, and the few other passengers on the bus turn to look at me. Are my parents going to be okay in that house? The house they're about to lose? The house they don't even know they've already lost? I type back, they're going to be fine. Trust me, they're very good at taking care of themselves. Another message, I have something that might cheer you up. Check your email. I switch to my email app. The account they don't know about, the one I use for all my real business. and find a message from Marcus with the subject line, "Welcome home." Inside are photos of our new apartment, but not empty like before. Now it's furnished, decorated, perfect. He's been busy while I was in interviews and getting abandoned by my family. There are flowers on the kitchen counter, wine in the fridge, and a note on the coffee table that I can just barely read in the photo. To new beginnings and old endings. "Marcus," I type, "it's perfect. You're perfect. I can't wait to start our life together. Our life without anyone else's baggage." He responds, "Our life where we're each other's priority." Each other's priority? When was the last time I was anyone's priority? The answer is never. I've never been anyone's priority, including my own. But that changes now. My original phone, the one my parents have the number for, has been buzzing in my other pocket. I pull it out and see that the battery is almost dead, but before it dies completely, I can see the notifications. 12 missed calls from Mum, 8 from Dad, 37 text messages. I scroll through them quickly, watching the progression from concerned to frantic to angry. "Honey, where are you? The storm is getting bad. Melissa, call us back. We're worried. We're at the station, but you're not here. Did you catch an earlier bus? Melissa, this isn't funny. Call us right now. Your father is driving around looking for you. Where are you? We're going home. Call us when you get this message. Melissa Rodriguez, you call us back this instant." The last message was sent 20 minutes ago. "We're filing a missing person report if we don't hear from you in the next hour." A missing person report. They're going to file a missing person report because their ATM didn't come home on schedule. I turn the phone off and drop it back into my pocket. Let them call the police. Let them explain to some tired officer why they left their daughter at a bus station during a storm. Let them try to make themselves look like the victims in this story, because tomorrow morning they're going to wake up to a whole new reality. Tomorrow morning they're going to discover that their dutiful daughter, their reliable source of emergency funds, their taken-for-granted safety net, has become their worst nightmare. The bus slows down and I look out the window. We're pulling into another station riverside, about an hour outside of Chicago. A few passengers get off, hunched against the rain that's still coming down like the world is ending. But for me, the world isn't ending. It's just beginning. Marcus sends one more message. "I love you, Mel. I love your strength, your intelligence, your capacity for justice. They have no idea who they messed with." I smile at the screen, and for the first time in years, it's a smile with teeth. No, they really don't. The bus pulls into Chicago's Union Station at 11:47 p.m, and through the rain-soaked windows, I can see him waiting. Marcus is standing under the fluorescent lights, wearing that charcoal wool coat I helped him pick out last month, holding an umbrella and looking like salvation itself. When I step off the bus, he doesn't say a word. He just pulls me into his arms and kisses me like I'm coming home from war, instead of running away from one. And maybe I am. Maybe I've been fighting a war my entire life and just finally decided to win it. "How do you feel?" he whispers against my ear as we hurry toward his car through the storm. "Free," I whisper back, and the word tastes like honey and lightning on my tongue. The drive to our new apartment takes 23 minutes through empty streets that glisten like black mirrors. Chicago at midnight, in a storm, is a different creature than Chicago during the day. Quieter, more dangerous, more honest somehow. Marcus keeps one hand on the steering wheel and one hand in mine, and we don't talk because we don't need to. We both know what tomorrow morning will bring. Our building is a converted warehouse in Lincoln Park, all exposed brick and industrial windows that look out over the lake. When we get to the 7th floor and Marcus unlocks the door to 7B, I step into my new life, and it's even more beautiful than the photos. The furniture is sleek and modern, nothing like the second-hand pieces I've been living with for years. There's a kitchen island bigger than my entire old kitchen, windows that stretch from floor to ceiling, and a view of Lake Michigan that makes my breath catch in my throat. "Welcome home, Miss Rodriguez," Marcus says, and there's something in his voice that makes me turn around. He's holding a champagne bottle and 2 glasses, and his smile is wicked and proud and absolutely devastating. "To new beginnings," he says as he pops the cork. "To old endings," I respond, clinking my glass against his. We drink champagne and order Thai food that arrives at 1:30 a.m, and Marcus shows me all the little touches he added to make this place ours. Fresh flowers in every room, my favourite coffee in the kitchen, a home office set up with everything I'll need to start my new job on Monday. But the pièce de résistance is in the bedroom, a briefcase sitting on the dresser like a present waiting to be unwrapped. Go ahead, Marcus says, grinning. Open it. Inside the briefcase is everything. Every document, every contract, every piece of paperwork that proves I now own my parents' house. The original mortgage documents with the bank's signature transferring the debt to MR Holdings. The foreclosure notice that will be served tomorrow morning. The eviction timeline that gives them exactly 30 days to vacate the premises. But that's not all. There's also a folder labelled Documentation that contains printouts of every text message they've sent me asking for money, screenshots of every forgotten birthday, photos of every emergency they've asked me to fund, 3 years of evidence that they've treated me like a personal bank account instead of a daughter. Jesus, Marcus, I breathe, flipping through page after page of their casual cruelty. You documented everything. We documented everything, he corrects. This isn't just revenge, Mel. This is justice. This is karma with a paper trail. At the very bottom of the briefcase is a letter. Not in an envelope, just a single sheet of expensive stationery folded in half. My name is written on the outside in Marcus's careful handwriting. What's this? Read it tomorrow, he says, after it's all done. After they know. I want to read it now, but something in his expression tells me to wait. So I close the briefcase and let him lead me to our bed. Our bed, in our apartment, in our new life. We make love like people who've been starving for years and finally found a feast. Desperate and grateful and absolutely certain that we deserve this, that we deserve each other, that we deserve happiness after spending so long making everyone else happy at our own expense. I wake up at 6 a.m. and for just a moment I forget where I am. Then I see Marcus sleeping beside me, see the morning light streaming through windows that are actually clean, and remember, this is my life now. This is what choosing myself looks like. I slip out of bed and make coffee in a kitchen where all the appliances work, where the cabinets close properly, where there's actual food in the refrigerator. I stand at the window in my robe, watching Chicago wake up and think about what's happening right now, 300 miles away. It's 7 a.m. My parents are probably just waking up. Mum is probably making Dad's coffee the way she has for 30 years, and they're probably wondering where their daughter is. Maybe they called the police last night. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they assumed I'd come crawling back like I always do, grateful for whatever scraps of attention they decided to throw my way. They have no idea that in approximately 2 hours, there will be a knock on their door. You're up early, Marcus says, wrapping his arms around me from behind. He smells like expensive soap and possibilities. I wanted to watch the sunrise on our first morning, I say, leaning back against his chest. Any regrets? I think about it seriously for a moment. 300 miles away, the people who raised me are about to have their world turned upside down. They're about to lose their house, their security, their comfortable little life built on my sacrifice. They're about to learn that actions have consequences and that even the most patient daughter has limits. None, I say, and I mean it. Not a single one. At 8:30, my old phone buzzes with an incoming call. Mum's number flashes on the screen, but I don't answer. I just watch it ring and ring until it goes to voicemail. At 8:45, Dad calls. Again, I let it go to voicemail. At 9 o'clock exactly, Marcus's phone rings. It's his contact at the sheriff's office, the one who's been handling the service of papers. Mr. Chen, the voice on the other end says, and Marcus puts it on speaker so I can hear. Papers have been served to Richard and Patricia Rodriguez at 847 Maple Street. They've been given the 30-day notice to vacate, and they've been informed that the property is now owned by MR Holdings. I have to say, sir, they seemed pretty shocked. I imagine they were, Marcus says smoothly. Thank you for the update. There is one thing, though. They kept asking about their daughter. Apparently she's missing. They wanted to know if the foreclosure had anything to do with it. Marcus looks at me and raises an eyebrow. I nod. You can tell them. Marcus says that their daughter is exactly where she's supposed to be. After he hangs up, we sit in silence for a moment. It's done. After 8 months of planning, 3 years of being taken for granted, and 28 years of putting everyone else first, it's finally done. My old phone explodes with notifications, calls, texts, voicemails, each one more frantic than the last. I scroll through the messages without opening them, watching the progression from confusion to panic to rage. Melissa, what is happening? Call us now. The sheriff just left. What did you do? I don't understand what Mr. Holdings is. Call us back right now. Your father is having chest pains. If this is some kind of joke, it's not funny. Melissa Rodriguez, you call us back this instant or we're calling the police. How could you do this to us? We're your parents. That last one makes me laugh out loud. We're your parents. As if that was some kind of shield, some magical protection against the consequences of their own actions. At 10:30, there's a knock on our door. For just a moment, my heart stops. But when Marcus looks through the peephole, he's grinning. It's a delivery, he says, opening the door to reveal a woman holding an enormous bouquet of red roses. Delivery for Miss Melissa Rodriguez, she says. I take the flowers, confused. The card attached simply says, Congratulations on your new position. We're thrilled to have you on the team. Margaret Hartwell and the entire Hartwell & Co. family. They sent flowers to your home address? Marcus asks, reading over my shoulder. I gave them this address as my local contact, I say, suddenly remembering. I told them I was relocating to Chicago for the position. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. While my parents are panicking about losing their house, my new life is literally blooming in my hands. At 11 o'clock, Marcus opens a bottle of champagne. Not the cheap stuff this time, but actual Cristal that he's been saving for this moment. To Melissa Rodriguez, he says, raising his glass. The woman who decided she was worth more than she was being offered. To Marcus Chen, I respond. The man who showed me that love doesn't have to hurt. We drink champagne at 11 a.m. on a Wednesday morning because we can, because we're free, because we chose each other over people who never chose us. At noon, I finally turn off my old phone. 47 missed calls, 112 text messages, and I don't read a single one. Instead, I open the letter Marcus left in the briefcase. My hands are shaking slightly as I unfold the expensive paper, but my voice is steady as I read it out loud. My dearest Melissa, by the time you read this, you'll have done something that most people never have the courage to do. You'll have chosen yourself. You'll have decided that your happiness matters more than other people's comfort. You'll have proven that love without respect isn't love at all. It's just convenient exploitation. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of us. I'm proud of what we've built together and what we're going to build going forward. Welcome to the first day of the rest of your life. Welcome to being loved the way you deserve. Welcome to being free. All my love, Marcus. I'm crying by the time I finish reading, but they're not sad tears. They're relief tears. They're joy tears. They're the tears of a woman who finally understands what she's worth. I love you, I tell him. And the words feel different now, stronger, more honest. I love you too, he says, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving it. At 2 p.m, we walk to the Hartwell & Co. offices, so I can fill out paperwork and get my employee ID. Everyone is incredibly welcoming, and Margaret Hartwell herself takes me around to introduce me to the team. Melissa will be heading up our new digital marketing initiative, she announces to a conference room full of people who actually seem excited to meet me. She comes to us with some brilliant ideas about integrated campaigns and demographic targeting. My ideas. Not my boss's ideas that I developed, not strategies I created but never got credit for. My ideas spoken out loud in a room full of people who will know they came from me. For the first time in my adult life, I am valued for what I bring to the table, instead of what I can transfer to someone else's bank account. At 5 p.m, we're back in our apartment, ordering groceries to be delivered and planning our evening like normal people who don't have to count every penny. Like people who can afford to live instead of just survive. What do you want to do tonight? Marcus asks. Whatever we want, I say, and the freedom in that statement is intoxicating. We end up ordering entirely too much sushi and watching old movies on our massive TV, and it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. But around 9 p.m, Marcus gets a phone call that changes everything. Mr. Chen? This is Detective Morrison from the Millbrook Police Department. We need to talk. Marcus's face goes pale as he listens to Detective Morrison, and my blood turns to ice water in my veins. We knew this might happen. We prepared for this. But hearing those words, we need to talk, makes everything feel suddenly, terrifyingly real. Of course, Detective, Marcus says, his voice steady as granite. What can I help you with? We have a missing person report filed by Richard and Patricia Rodriguez. They claim their daughter, Melissa, disappeared during the storm last night, and they seem to think it's connected to some kind of foreclosure proceeding on their home. They mentioned you, specifically Mr. Chen. I grab Marcus's free hand, my nails digging into his palm. How do they know about Marcus? How do they know anything about him? I'm not sure how I can help, Marcus says carefully. I'm a financial advisor. I handle real estate transactions. If their home was foreclosed on, it would have been a business matter. Right. Well, they're pretty insistent that their daughter was kidnapped or coerced into signing documents. They want us to investigate Ember Holdings. Apparently, they think their daughter was forced to help orchestrate some kind of elaborate fraud scheme. I cover my mouth to keep from laughing out loud. Kidnapped? Forced? They actually think I'm a victim in this story? Detective Morrison, Marcus says, and I can hear the smile in his voice now. I think there might be some confusion here. Miss Rodriguez wasn't kidnapped or coerced. She's sitting right here next to me in our apartment in Chicago, and she's perfectly fine. There's a long pause on the other end of the line. I am sorry, what? Melissa Rodriguez is here with me, Detective. She's safe, she's happy, and she's exactly where she wants to be. Would you like to speak with her? Marcus hands me the phone, and I take it with shaking hands. Detective Morrison? This is Melissa Rodriguez. Miss Rodriguez, your parents have been worried sick. They filed a missing person report this morning. They said you disappeared during the storm last night, and they haven't heard from you since. I didn't disappear, Detective. I left. There's a difference. Left? But your parents said... My parents said a lot of things, I'm sure. Let me guess. They told you I was kidnapped? That I was coerced into signing legal documents? That I would never willingly leave them? Well, yes, actually. They seemed very concerned about your well-being. I look around our beautiful apartment, at Marcus who's watching me with pride and love in his eyes, at the life we've built together while my parents were taking me for granted. Detective Morrison, I am 28 years old. I'm a college graduate with a marketing degree and 3 years of professional experience. I just started a new job at a prestigious firm in Chicago, and I'm living with the man I love in an apartment we can actually afford. My well-being has never been better. But the foreclosure on your parents' home was completely legal and thoroughly documented. I own their mortgage, Detective. I bought it from the bank over the course of several months through my investment company, Mr. Holdings. Every transaction was legitimate, every document was properly filed, and every payment was made on time. But why would you foreclose on your own parents? And there it is. The question I've been waiting for someone to ask. The question that cuts right to the heart of everything. Because they abandoned me in a bus station during a storm, Detective. Because for 3 years I sent them $800 a month while living in poverty myself. Because they forgot my birthday last month. Because they've treated me like an ATM instead of a daughter for my entire adult life. Because sometimes the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally are the ones who hurt you the most. There's silence on the other end of the line. Miss Rodriguez, Detective Morrison says finally, your parents are claiming that you stole money from them. They're saying you had access to their bank accounts and you've been moving funds without their permission. My heart stops. What? They're saying you've been transferring money out of their savings account for months, They want to press charges for theft and fraud. I look at Marcus, panic rising in my throat. This wasn't part of the plan. We never touched their savings account. We never took anything that wasn't legally ours. Detective, I never had access to their savings account. The only money I ever sent them came from my own paychecks. I can provide bank statements, pay stubs, everything. They claim you had their online banking information. They're saying you've stolen approximately $15,000 over the past 8 months. $15,000. 8 months. The exact timeline of when Marcus and I started planning this. And then it hits me. The sickening, horrible truth that makes my knees buckle. Detective, I say slowly, can you tell me exactly what they're claiming I stole? They're saying you transferred money from their savings account to an account belonging to Mr. Holdings. Multiple transfers, always in amounts under $10,000 to avoid detection. They have bank statements showing the transfers. I look at Marcus and something cold and terrible is crawling up my spine. Marcus, I whisper, covering the phone, did you ever have access to my parents' banking information? His face doesn't change, but something flickers behind his eyes. Something that looks almost like amusement? Detective, I say into the phone, I need to call you back. Miss Rodriguez, don't hang up. We need to... I hang up and stare at Marcus, my heart pounding so hard I can hear it in my ears. Marcus, did you steal money from my parents? He's quiet for a long moment, and then he starts to laugh. Not the warm, loving laugh I've grown used to. Something else, something colder. Steal is such an ugly word, Mel. What did you do? I did exactly what you wanted me to do. I made sure they paid for what they did to you. I never asked you to steal from them. You gave me their information, remember? That night 3 months ago when you were drunk and crying about how they'd asked you for emergency money again. You showed me their bank statements, their account numbers, everything. You said you wished there was a way to make them understand what it felt like to have money taken from them without permission. My blood turns to ice. I remember that night. I remember being devastated because they'd asked me for $1,000 to fix their air conditioning while I was eating ramen noodles for the 4th night in a row. I remember showing Marcus their bank statements to prove how much money they had in savings while they were bleeding me dry, but I never asked him to steal from them. Marcus, how much did you take? $15,000. The exact amount you sent them over the past year. I just redistributed it. You redistributed it to Mr. Holdings, to our company. You stole their money to fund our revenge plan. I used their money to buy their house. There's a beautiful symmetry to it, don't you think? They've been taking your money for years. I just made sure some of their money went towards something productive. I'm staring at him like I've never seen him before, because I haven't. The man I fell in love with. The man who showed me what it felt like to be valued and respected. That man never existed. Who are you? I whisper. I'm exactly who I've always been, Mel. I'm someone who saw an opportunity and took it. I saw a beautiful, intelligent woman who was being taken advantage of by her family, and I saw a way to help her while helping myself. Help yourself to what? To you, to this life, to the $15,000 that funded our perfect revenge, to the apartment lease that's in my name only, to the investment company that I control. His smile is sharp now, predatory. To the woman who's been so grateful for someone finally treating her well that she never asked the right questions. The room is spinning. Everything I thought I knew, everything I thought was real, is crumbling around me. The job, I whisper, please tell me the job is real. Oh, the job is very real. Margaret Hartwell is my cousin. She owed me a favour, and I told her I had the perfect candidate for their new position. Someone talented and desperate enough to relocate immediately. No questions asked. I sink onto the couch, my legs no longer able to support me. So none of this was real. You didn't fall in love with me. You just saw an opportunity. I did fall in love with you, Mel. Just not the way you think. He sits down beside me, and his voice is gentle again, almost loving. I fell in love with your hunger for revenge, with your willingness to burn everything down for the chance at something better, with your beautiful, ruthless determination to make them pay. You used me. We used each other, and we got exactly what we wanted. What I wanted was justice. What you wanted was money. What I wanted was you, he says, and there's something almost sincere in his voice. The you that could plan something like this. The you that could be cold enough to foreclose on your own parents. The you that's strong enough to walk away from everything and never look back. My phone is ringing. Detective Morrison calling back. Answer it, Marcus says. Tell him the truth. Tell him you had nothing to do with the money transfers. Because you didn't. That was all me. And then, what happens to you? Then I disappear. And you get to decide whether you want to disappear with me or face the consequences of what we've done together. I stare at the ringing phone, my entire life hanging in the balance. If I go with you, I say slowly, where do we go? Anywhere you want. I have accounts they can't touch, properties they can't trace. We can start over somewhere new, somewhere no one knows our names or our story. And if I don't, then you call Detective Morrison back and tell him everything. You cooperate with their investigation, you help them build a case against me, and you hope that being a victim instead of a perpetrator is enough to keep you out of prison. The phone stops ringing and immediately starts again. Choose quickly, Mel. They're not going to wait forever. I look around our apartment one more time. Our beautiful, perfect apartment that was built on lies and theft and manipulation. I think about my parents, who are probably sitting in their house right now, terrified of losing everything, just like I was terrified for years of never having anything. I think about the job I start on Monday, the job that was handed to me by Marcus's cousin, because I was useful to his plan. I think about the woman I was 8 months ago, lonely, desperate, grateful for any scrap of attention. And I think about the woman I am now, strong enough to walk away from everything, smart enough to see the truth even when it hurts, brave enough to choose the unknown over the familiar. I pick up the phone. Detective Morrison, this is Melissa Rodriguez. I have something important to tell you. Marcus is watching me with those beautiful brown eyes that first made me fall in love with him, and he's smiling like he already knows what I'm going to say. But here's the thing about storms. They don't just destroy. Sometimes they wash everything clean. Detective, I say, never breaking eye contact with Marcus. I want to report a theft and a fraud, and I have all of the evidence you're going to need. Marcus's smile fades. The man who stole from my parents is sitting right here beside me, and I'm ready to tell you everything, because the truth is, I didn't survive one storm just to get caught in another one. And this time, I'm not the one who's going to be left behind.